The moment at Sunday family dinner when Dad slides an envelope across the table to my sister instead of me. His words echo in the dining room. "We gave your wedding fund to your sister. She deserves a real wedding." Mom nods in agreement while my sister beams triumphantly. I sit frozen. My fiancé beside me as 23 years of being the overlooked daughter crashes down on me. The $10,000 I'd been counting on for 6 months. Gone. Her smug smile tells me this was planned. I don't cry. I don't scream. I just look at the man I love. The silence stretches across our childhood dining room table, the same oak surface where I did homework while she got help with her college applications, where I ate silently while her stories of volleyball tournaments dominated the conversation. This table, this is where I learned to make myself small. Dad clears his throat and leans back in his chair, the leather creaking under his weight. He's wearing that expression I know so well, the one that says he's about to deliver a lecture disguised as wisdom. "You have to understand our position here," he begins, his voice taking on that condescending tone I've heard my entire life. "Your sister graduated summa cum laude from a top university. She's worked incredibly hard to build her career at a Fortune 500 company, a marketing executive at 26. Do you know what that means?" My sister straightens in her chair, practically glowing under his praise. She's wearing a cream-colored blazer that probably cost more than I make in 2 weeks. Her hair is perfectly styled in that effortless way that actually takes an hour to achieve. Everything about her screams success, from her manicured nails to her designer watch. Mom chimes in, setting down her coffee cup with unnecessary force. "It's a real accomplishment. You should be proud of her." I am silent. I am a statue. The number $10,000 is bouncing around my skull. 10,000. The dress I'd bookmarked online. The photographer whose work I loved. The deposit for the rustic barn venue an hour outside the city. All of it, evaporating with the slide of that manila envelope. My fiancé's hand finds mine under the table. His grip is tight, grounding. I can feel the tension in his forearm, but he says nothing. He's waiting for me. He's always waited for me to find my voice in this family, a voice I've never truly found. "It's not that we don't support you," Dad continues, spreading his hands as if he's being magnanimous. "But your path? Well, it's been different. The community college, the job at the bookstore. Your wedding plans were modest. Your sister is marrying into the Henderson family. There are expectations, a certain standard to maintain. This money will ensure her day is appropriate. It's an investment in her future." An investment. My future was not an investment. My sister, let's call her Aurora, because she's always been treated like the dawn in this family, while I was the forgotten twilight, finally speaks. Her voice is saccharine sweet, dripping with false sympathy. "I'm so sorry, sis. I really am. But you know how Jason's family is. The country club, the society pages. Mom and Dad just want everything to be perfect. You're so low-key. You wouldn't want all that fuss anyway, right?" I look at her. I look at my mother, whose eyes avoid mine, fixed on a spot just over my shoulder. I look at my father, who is already picking up his fork. The discussion clearly over. The transaction is complete. My dream, handed to the golden child. And then I look at my fiancé. Let's call him Leo. His jaw is clenched so tight I can see the muscle jumping. His eyes, usually so warm and laughing, are dark storms. He gives my hand one more squeeze, then lets go. He places both hands on the table, pushing his chair back slowly. The sound is horrifically loud in the quiet room. He stands up. Everyone looks at him. My father's fork hovers in midair. Aurora's smug smile flickers. Leo doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The quiet certainty in it is more powerful than any shout. Appropriate, he says, the word hanging in the air. A standard to maintain? He looks at my father, and there is no anger there. Not yet. There is something worse. Pity. Disappointment. For 23 years, Leo says, his voice low and clear, you have failed to see the remarkable woman sitting beside me. You've been so busy applauding the obvious. You missed the masterpiece right in front of you. You talk about her path being different? Do you even know what she does? My father blinks. She works at a bookstore. Leo actually laughs, a short, harsh sound. She is the assistant manager of the last chapter, which, under her guidance, has become the most profitable independent bookstore in the entire region. She runs literacy programs for at-risk kids. She curates author events that sell out weeks in advance. She hasn't just worked there for 5 years. She's built something. She's a pillar of her community, but you've never asked. Not once. My mother opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. And as for our modest wedding, Leo continues, turning his gaze to Aurora, it was modest because she planned it. Every detail. She found beauty in simplicity. She wanted a day about love, not about showing off. That $10,000 wasn't just money. It was the symbol of a promise you made to her when she was a little girl. A promise that her day would matter too. And you just broke it in front of everyone, as if her heart were nothing. He turns back to my father, and now his eyes are flint. You said she wouldn't want all that fuss. You are wrong. She wanted her fuss, the one she dreamed of. And you gave it away. The room is a tomb. My father's face is pale. Aurora looks stunned, as if someone has slapped her perfect complexion. Leo leans down, places his hands on the table, and looks my father dead in the eye. Here is what is going to happen. We are leaving, and you will not hear from us. Not about the wedding, not about our lives. When you finally realize the magnitude of what you have done today, it will be too late. He straightens up, holds out his hand to me. I take it. My own hand is trembling, but his is steady as stone. I stand. I don't look at my family. I can't. I look only at him, at the man who saw me when no one else would. As we walk to the door, my father finds his voice, spluttering. Now, wait just a minute. You can't speak to me that way in my own house. This is a family matter. Leo doesn't even turn around. He simply says, over his shoulder, you made it clear today who your family is, and who it isn't. The door closes behind us with a soft, final click. It's the quietest, most devastating sound I have ever heard, and in that moment, as we drive away in silence, something inside me shifts. The pain is still there, a raw, open wound. But beneath it, flowing into the spaces left by a lifetime of neglect, is something new, something cold, something clear. This was not just about money. This was the final proof, the undeniable evidence of my place in that house. I was not at dawn. I was not even in twilight. I was invisible. But Leo had just made me seen. And now it was my turn. The car ride is silent, but it's not an empty silence. It's thick with everything that has just happened. The hum of the engine is the only sound. Leo drives, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I stare out the window, watching the familiar streets of my childhood neighborhood blur past. The big houses with their manicured lawns, the park where Aurora had her championship soccer parties, the street where I learned to ride a bike, with no one watching but an elderly neighbor. I don't cry. The tears feel frozen somewhere deep inside, trapped behind a wall of sheer glacial shock. I am numb. My mind is a blank white screen, and on it, just one image plays on a loop. The envelope sliding over polished oak away from me. Leo pulls into the parking lot of our favorite diner, a 24-hour place with sticky vinyl booths and terrible coffee. He doesn't ask. He just knows I can't go home to our apartment yet. The walls would feel like they were closing in. He cuts the engine and turns to me. "Talk to me," he says softly. "Or don't. But I'm here." I look at him. Really look at him. The worry in his eyes. The fierce protective anger still simmering beneath the surface. This man. This beautiful, brave man who had stood up in the lion's den for me. He had thrown away any chance of a civil relationship with my family. For me. "I'm not getting that money back," I say. My voice sounds strange to my own ears. Hollow. Distant. "No," he says simply. "You're not." "The barn? The deposit? We'll figure it out," he says, taking my hand. "We have savings. Not much, but some. We can scale back. We can do the courthouse and a party in the park. I don't care, as long as I'm marrying you." His words are meant to be comforting, and they are. But they also ignite a spark in the frozen tundra of my heart. A spark of anger. We can scale back. Because they took from us. Because my sister's appropriate wedding to her country club prince was more important than our love. We had to shrink our dreams to fit the space left after they had looted them. "No," I say. The word is quiet but firm. He tilts his head. "No? No courthouse. No park." I take a deep, shuddering breath. The numbness is receding, burned away by the growing heat of that spark. I want my wedding. The one I planned. The one I dreamed of. Sweetheart. The money. I don't care about the money, I say, and I realize it's true. The $10,000 was just paper. What was stolen was far more valuable. It was respect. It was fairness. It was a father's promise. I care about the principle. I care that they think they can do this and will just quietly make do. That I'll fold, like I always have. That we'll accept the crumbs they leave us. Leo's eyes are searching mine. He sees the change. The thaw is not into sadness, but into a cold, hard resolve. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," I whisper, the plan forming in my mind not as a detailed map, but as a single, unwavering destination, that they gave my wedding to Aurora. So I'm going to take it back. Not the money. I don't want their dirty money. I want what the money represents. I want a wedding so stunning, so perfect, so filled with genuine joy that when they hear about it, and they will hear about it, it will haunt them. I want it to be the ghost at Aurora's overpriced, appropriate feast. I want my father to look at what we built from nothing and realize, too late, that he bet on the wrong daughter. A slow smile spreads across Leo's face. It's not a happy smile. It's a warrior's smile. "Okay. How?" I lean back against the car seat, the gears in my mind beginning to turn, the ice replaced by a cool, flowing clarity. We start from zero. We save every penny. We get creative. But more importantly, we will document it. Document it? Everything, I say, my voice gaining strength. The planning, DIY projects, the struggles, the triumphs. We show the real work of building a dream. We show our love, and we make it public. Leo's eyebrows shoot up. "Like, a blog? A channel," I say, the idea crystallizing. "A YouTube channel, building a dream from zero." We show people how to have a beautiful wedding on a shoestring budget. We show the heart behind it. We become an inspiration. And through it all, we never mention my family. Not once. We are two people deeply in love, building our future with our own hands. The story is positive, uplifting. Leo is nodding slowly, seeing the vision. And when our wedding is the most beautiful, most viewed, most loved event, and they see it, They'll see what they tried to destroy, I finished. They'll see the masterpiece they ignored, and they'll have to live with the knowledge that they weren't a part of it, that their absence was a gift. It was a revenge not of fire, but of ice. Not of screaming accusations, but of luminous, undeniable success. A revenge built not on their downfall, but on our rise. We would not fight them. We would outshine them. We went home that night, and we began. That very night, sitting at our small kitchen table with a laptop between us, we created the channel. A blank slate. A new beginning. The first video went up 3 days later. It was just me, sitting on our sofa, speaking softly to the camera. The title, Why We're Starting with Nothing. I didn't mention the betrayal. I didn't name names. I just said, sometimes the things you count on disappear. Sometimes promises get broken, and you're left with a choice, to give up on your dream or to build it yourself, brick by brick. We're choosing to build. This is our journey to a wedding day, our way. The video was raw. My eyes were still a little shadowed from the hurt. But it was real, and people responded. Comments started trickling in. You're so brave. This is so refreshing. Can't wait to follow your journey. We had lit the first candle in the dark. Meanwhile, the silence from my family was deafening. No calls, no texts, no apology. Just nothing. It confirmed everything. They had said their piece at the dinner table. The envelope had been their final word. A week after the dinner, as Leo and I had started calling it, my mother called. Just once. Her voice was tight, formal. Your father is very upset about how Leo spoke to him. An apology would go a long way. I felt that cold clarity wash over me again. Is there anything else, Mom? A pause. We hope you come to your senses soon. Aurora's engagement party is at the country club next month. It would be good for you to be there, to show there are no hard feelings. No hard feelings. The phrase was so absurd it was almost funny. They had taken a scalpel to my heart and were asking me to thank them for the precision. We won't be there, I said, my voice calm. Give Aurora our best. I hung up before she could reply. That small act, hanging up first, felt more powerful than any argument. I was setting the terms. I was controlling the silence. The war had begun, but my battle plan was simple. I would live so well, so joyfully, so authentically, that my happiness would become the verdict on their crimes, and the world, through our little channel, would be the jury. The following months were a whirlwind of work, love, and quiet, burning determination. Our lives became a balancing act between our day jobs, our wedding plans, and the growing demands of the channel, which we named From This Moment, after our song. It started slowly. Video 2, budget breakdown, our $5,000 wedding goal. We laid it all out with a spreadsheet. The sheer audacity of it, aiming for a fraction of what the average wedding cost, drew people in. Comments jumped from dozens to hundreds. 5K? Impossible. You're inspiring me. Let's see if you can do it. We showed them. Video 3, the $50 dress. I spent a weekend thrifting with my best friend Maya, a fiery artist who became our camera person and fiercest supporter. We found a vintage lace gown from the 1970s, simple but elegant, for $47. In the video, my eyes shone with tears as I held it up. It wasn't a designer label. It was better. It had history. It was mine. Video 4. The invitation suite for less than a cup of coffee. Leo, a graphic designer by trade, created stunning, minimalist designs. We bought premium paper on sale and printed them ourselves. We filmed the process, the careful alignment, the press of the printer, the scent of ink and paper. It was meditative. It was ours. The channel grew. 1,000 subscribers, then 5,000. People weren't just watching, they were investing. They were rooting for us. Our story of resilience, of making beauty from ashes, touched a nerve. Sponsorship offers from small, ethical businesses began to trickle in. A local florist who loved our aesthetic offered her services at cost. A bakery, run by a husband and wife team who had also built their dream from nothing, offered a stunning cake in exchange for a feature. We accepted only what aligned with our vision. Our integrity was our currency. Every video reinforced the message. Love, creativity, and hard work were the real luxuries. Meanwhile, the shadow of my family's world loomed. Maya, who moved in circles that sometimes brushed against Aurora's, was our reluctant informant. She'd text me updates, her words laced with fury. Heard through the grapevine, Aurora's wedding planner is some elite guru from the city. The budget is approaching 6 figures. Your dad's bragging about it at the golf club. Saw a pic of her dress. Took a committee of 8 people. Mom cried, it was a whole production. Her theme is Gilded Garden. I am not joking, gilded. Garden. Each message was a little pinch, a reminder of the chasm between their world and ours. But the pinch was followed by a surge of strength. Their wedding was a performance, a display of wealth for society pages. Ours was becoming a community, a testament to heart. The real test came when we secured our venue. We'd given up on the barn. Instead, we found an abandoned, sun-dappled clearing in a state park, available for a small permit fee. It was wild, beautiful, and free. In Video 8, Claiming Our Cathedral, we filmed ourselves hiking to the spot. Leo held the camera as I walked into the center of the clearing, the golden hour light filtering through the trees like something holy. This is it, I whispered to the camera, my voice thick with emotion. This is where I'll marry the love of my life, and it costs almost nothing but the promise to cherish it. The video went viral, not in a million views way, but in a powerful, resonant way. It was shared on wedding blogs, on positivity pages. Our subscriber count soared to 50,000. The comments were filled with stories of people's own struggles, their own dreams built against the odds. We had tapped into something universal. It was around this time that the first tentative, poisonous tendril from my family reached out. Not a call, an anonymous comment on the cathedral video from a new account. Pretty pathetic, using a public forest because you can't afford a real venue. Some people have class, others just have desperation. My blood ran cold. The phrasing, the word class, it was Aurora. Or one of her friends. It had to be. They had found the channel. Leo wanted to delete it, to block the account. Don't, I said, that cold feeling settling in my stomach. Leave it, and don't respond. Why? It's hateful. Because it's proof, I said, looking at the cruel words on the screen. Proof that they're watching. Proof that our light is starting to hurt their eyes. We do not engage. We ascend. We continued to ascend, video by video, project by project. We built our own arch from fallen birch branches. We collected mismatched glass bottles from flea markets for centerpieces. We created a playlist instead of hiring a DJ. Every step was documented with honesty. The failures, the first batch of homemade candles that melted into a blob. The frustrations, the week it rained and we couldn't film. And the breathtaking moments of pure joy, Leo's face when he tasted the cake samples. We were building more than a wedding. We were building a fortress of love, of shared labor, of a community that cheered for us. And from the ramparts of that fortress, I could finally look toward my family's distant gilded castle and feel not envy, but a deep, steadying pity. They were trapped in their castle, worried about appearances, about being appropriate. We were free in our forest, building something real. The final piece of our plan fell into place 2 months before the wedding. A major online publication dedicated to sustainable living found our channel. They wanted to feature us. Not just the wedding, but our story, our philosophy. They sent a journalist and a photographer to spend a weekend with us. The article was titled, "The Wedding That Money Can't Buy: How One Couple Redefined Luxury." It was published the same week Aurora's wedding invitations, thick, engraved, weighted with expectation, landed in the mailboxes of 500 guests. The article featured photos of us laughing over our DIY projects, of Leo sketching designs, of me holding my thrifted dress. It quoted us talking about love, community, and the value of intention over expense. It did not mention my family. It didn't need to. The contrast was screamingly obvious to anyone who knew us. My phone buzzed. Once. A text from a number I hadn't heard from in months. My father. "Saw the article. You're making a spectacle of yourself. This is embarrassing." I read the message to Leo. We were in our kitchen, surrounded by jars of wildflowers we were drying for confetti. Leo shook his head, a sad smile on his face. "He doesn't get it. He never will." I typed back a single sentence, my fingers steady. "I'm sorry you feel that way." Then I blocked the number. The line had been drawn. The battle lines were set. Their wedding was a show for the world. Ours had become a message to the world. And as the dates drew closer, their lavish gilded garden extravaganza and our humble forest cathedral celebration, the tension wasn't in the air between us. It was in the quiet, terrible realization dawning on one side of the divide that the thing they had dismissed as modest and not appropriate was resonating with people in a way their cold, perfect spectacle never could. The revenge was not in confrontation. It was in comparison. And as the final weeks counted down, I knew, with a calm certainty, that we were going to win. Not by their rules, but by changing the game entirely. The last month was a beautiful, chaotic blur. The From This Moment channel had become a phenomenon, crossing 200,000 subscribers. Our inbox was flooded with messages from viewers offering help. A seamstress in Oregon volunteered to alter my vintage dress for free. A calligrapher in England sent us hand-lettered place cards. A group of subscribers banded together and gave us a professional photographer's services as a wedding present. The community we had built was now holding us up. It was humbling and breathtaking. We filmed Video 15, the final countdown, Love in the Details. It was a montage of our final preparations. Maya and I threading dried lavender into bundles, Leo and his brothers building a simple dance floor from reclaimed pallets, and our friends gathering for a crafting bee to assemble the last of the decorations. The video was saturated with laughter, with sunlight, with the deep, abiding love of true friendship. There was no stress, only purpose. No drama, only joy. The comments section was a haven of positivity. "I've cried through every video. You've restored my faith in love. This is what it's all about." It was during this time that the second, more desperate attack came, not from my parents, but from Aurora. She couldn't resist. She created a fake social media profile and sent me a direct message on the platform linked to our channel. "Congratulations on your little internet fame. Must be nice to play the poor, wounded bird for clicks. Everyone at the country club is laughing at your pathetic forest picnic. Dad says you've always been a drama queen. I guess some things never change. Enjoy your weeds and dirt. My wedding will be in vogue." The venom was palpable. It reeked of insecurity. She was watching our every move, seeing the tidal wave of support for us, and it was driving her mad. The gilded garden was under pressure to be perfect, a flawless display of wealth. Ours was already perfect in its intention. The pressure was eating her from the inside. I showed the message to Leo and Maya. Maya swore vividly. Leo just looked thoughtful. She's scared, he said quietly. She's a witch, Maya corrected. No, Leo's right, I said, reading the message again. She's terrified. Our wedding isn't competing with hers on a financial level. It's competing on a soul level. And on that battlefield, her six-figure budget is useless. She knows it. That's why she's lashing out. Again, we did not respond. We took a screenshot, saved it in a folder marked proof, and moved on. Our silence was a wall her bitterness could not scale. The final week arrived. We posted our last pre-wedding video, "See You at the Altar." It was a simple, heartfelt thank you to our community. We sat together on our sofa, holding hands. Tomorrow, I said to the camera, my eyes bright, we become us, officially. And you have all been a part of this journey. You've cheered us on, inspired us, and shown us that the most beautiful things are built not with money, but with heart. So thank you for seeing us, for being our extended family. We'll see you on the other side. We turned off the camera, and the quiet of our apartment settled around us. It was a peaceful quiet. The storm of my family betrayal was a distant memory, a dark cloud that had long since blown past, leaving our sky crystal clear. The day before our wedding, as we were packing the cars with decorations, my mother called. From a neighbor's phone, since hers was blocked. I answered, not knowing the number. "It's me." Her voice was strained, tired. I just wanted to wish you good luck for tomorrow." There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing. I waited. "The article. It was lovely," she said, the words seeming to fight their way out. "You look happy." "I am," I said, simple and true. Another pause. Then, the question she couldn't hold back. "Are you sure about the forest? It's supposed to rain. Aurora's wedding is at the cathedral in the city. It's guaranteed." And there it was, the lifelong comparison. Even now, on the eve of my wedding, she was measuring my choices against Aurora's, finding mine lacking. "Mom," I said, my voice gentle but unyielding, "if it rains in our forest, then we'll get married in the rain. It will be beautiful. Because it's ours. That's all that matters." She was silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, a soft, broken sigh. "Okay. Well, goodbye." She hung up. That was it. No, "I love you." No, "I'm sorry." No, "I wish I were there." Just a final, feeble attempt to point out the flaw in my plan. It was the last echo of a lifetime of criticism, and for the first time, it didn't hurt. It just was. A fact. Like the weather. And I had learned to build a shelter strong enough to withstand any storm. That night, under a sky full of stars, Leo and I stood on our tiny balcony. Tomorrow, we will wake up as two separate people for the last time. "Are you ready?" he asked, his arm around my shoulders. I looked up at the vast, starry sky, thinking of our forest clearing, of the community waiting to celebrate with us, of the quiet fortress we had built. I thought of the envelope sliding across the table, and the man who had stood up when I could not. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," I said, and I meant it. The revenge was almost complete. It wasn't in the downfall of my family, it was in my unshakable peace. It was in the knowledge that they had tried to break me, and had instead given me the pieces to build something infinitely stronger. Tomorrow would not be a triumph over them. It would be a transcendence of them. The forest was waiting. Our cathedral of trees and love. And nothing. Not rain, not guilt, not the ghost of a stolen wedding fund, could dim the light we were about to step into. It did not rain. The sun rose on a perfect, crisp autumn morning, painting the sky in watercolor hues of pink and gold. Our forest clearing was transformed. It wasn't decorated, it was adorned. The birch branch arch stood against a backdrop of fiery maple trees. Mismatched bottles holding wildflowers and dried grasses lined the makeshift aisle of scattered leaves. Sunlight dappled through the canopy, creating a living, breathing cathedral more magnificent than any building made of stone. Our community arrived, not 500 faces from a country club roster, but 60 souls who loved us, friends from every chapter of our lives. Leo's huge, boisterous family, who had embraced me from day one. Maya, our warrior maid of honor. Subscribers who had traveled from out of state. Not as strangers, but as honored guests who had journeyed with us. There was no orchestra. A single guitarist, a friend from Leo's college days, played acoustic melodies that floated on the forest air. There was no five-course meal. Long tables were laden with potluck dishes brought by every guest, a feast of love and shared bounty. There was no champagne tower. There were kegs of local craft beer and jars of homemade lemonade. And there was so much joy. Uninhibited, genuine, overflowing joy. Laughter echoed through the trees. Hugs were given freely. Tears were shed without shame. It was not a performance. It was a celebration. I wore the vintage lace gown, altered to fit me like it was made for me. In my hair, a simple crown of baby's breath and lavender. Leo stood under the arch in a simple tan suit, no tie, his eyes brimming with tears the moment he saw me walk toward him on my own 2 feet. I had no one to give me away. I was giving myself, willingly, joyfully, to him. We wrote our own vows. Mine spoke of the day he stood up in the dining room, of how he taught me my voice was worth hearing. He spoke of my quiet strength, of the fortress I had built around our love. We didn't mention the betrayal. Our love story was the hero, and the betrayal was merely the shadow that made the light shine brighter. The ceremony was short, profound, and utterly perfect. When we were pronounced married, a cheer went up that startled birds from the trees. Our first kiss as husband and wife was met with whoops and applause that felt like a physical wave of love. And throughout it all, our photographer, a gift from our community, captured it. Not just the moments, but the feeling, the light, the love, the sheer, unvarnished authenticity of it. We posted one single photo that evening on the channel. Just one. It was a candid shot. Not of our kiss, but of the moment just after. Foreheads touching, eyes closed, smiling so widely it looked like it hurt, surrounded by a blur of our cheering friends. The caption was simple. We did. From this moment, for life. The internet, as they say, broke. The photo was shared thousands of times. It was hailed as the most genuine wedding photo ever. News outlets that had picked up the sustainable living article now ran follow-ups. The Forest Cathedral, wedding. Internet couple ties the knot in viral celebration. Our wedding wasn't in vogue, it was something better. It was in the hearts of thousands of strangers who saw in it a reflection of what love could be when stripped of pretense. The reckoning. Aurora's gilded garden wedding was the following Saturday. We heard about it, of course. Maya had a friend of a friend who was a guest. It was, by all accounts, stunning. Flawless. A masterpiece of event planning. The cathedral was filled with white orchids. The 12-piece orchestra was impeccable. The 5-tier cake was a work of art. The society pages covered it. There was a write-up in a local luxury magazine. But the reports that filtered back to us, through the grapevine, told another story. It was beautiful, but cold? Everyone was so dressed up, it felt more like a museum exhibit than a party. Your father looked stressed the whole time, worried about the bill. Your mother kept fussing over Aurora's train. Aurora herself seemed brittle, like she'd snap if one pedal was out of place. The photographer was bossing everyone around. It felt staged. No one really danced, they just circulated. And then, the final most telling piece of information. The one that made my heart for the first time feel a pang of something other than cold resolve. It was a pity. Maya called me, her voice unusually quiet. I heard this from someone who was at the head table, during the father of the bride speech. Go on. Your dad. He got up. He talked about Aurora's accomplishments, her beauty, her success, the whole spiel. And then, he paused. He looked out at the crowd and he said, "It's a father's job to give his daughter the perfect day, to make sure she has everything she deserves." And then, according to my friend, he just faltered. He looked down at his notes, and he went quiet for a long time. People started shifting in their seats. He finally just said, "Congratulations, sweetheart," and sat down. He didn't toast. He didn't smile. He just sat. My friend said the look on his face. It was like he was somewhere else entirely. I knew where he was. He was at a Sunday dinner, sliding an envelope across a table. He was in a forest clearing he had never seen, hearing a cheer that wasn't for him. He was realizing in the middle of his golden daughter's gilded day that everything she deserves had cost him something irreplaceable. Not money, not status. It had cost him a daughter. It had cost him a chance to be part of a real, beautiful, human story. His perfect, appropriate, investment-worthy wedding was a silent, glittering tomb for his own failure. And the ghost of the wedding he had tried to destroy, our humble, joyful, viral forest celebration, was haunting every perfectly polished minute of it. That was the revenge. Not their humiliation, but their hollow victory. Not their downfall, but their empty triumph. We had taken their cruelty and alchemized it into pure gold, the gold of authentic happiness, of earned community, of a love that needed no gilding to shine. A week after both weddings, a parcel arrived at our apartment. No return address. Inside, wrapped in plain tissue paper, was a vintage cake topper, a simple ceramic couple from the 1950s, their paint slightly faded. There was no note, but I knew. It was from my mother's collection of antique kitchenware, something she'd kept in a display cabinet, never used. A tiny, silent, desperate artifact of love sent from a fortress of regret. It was an apology she could not speak. I held it in my hand, this fragile, beautiful thing. I didn't know what to feel. Leo put his hand on my shoulder. "What do you want to do with it?" he asked softly. I looked at it for a long time. Then I placed it gently on our bookshelf, next to a framed photo from our wedding day. It didn't fix anything. It didn't undo the past. But it was a start. A fragile ceramic bridge across a canyon of hurt. Whether we would ever choose to cross it, that was a story for another day. For now, we had our own story, our own forest, our own fortress, our own hard-won, magnificent love. And it was more than enough. It was everything. So, what is the moral of this story? Is it that revenge is a dish best served cold? Or that money can't buy happiness? It's simpler and more profound than that. The truest revenge is not the one you inflict on others. It's the fortress you build for yourself after they have tried to tear you down. My family's betrayal was the earthquake. But Leo and I, we chose not to live in the rubble. We chose to use every broken piece, every shattered expectation, to lay a new foundation, a stronger one, built not on their approval, but on our shared values, built not for show, but for shelter. They taught me a brutal lesson, that sometimes the people who are supposed to champion you will be the ones holding the knife. But in doing so, they forced me to find my own armor, to find my voice, to discover that my worth was not a currency they could control. It was a light inside me, and no one could dim it without my permission. The wedding fund wasn't the loss. Losing my place in a family that conditional love was the loss. But from that loss, we gained a family of choice, a community of support, a love that was tested in fire and came out unbreakable. If you are watching this, and you feel overlooked, betrayed, or shattered by someone who was supposed to hold you up, hear this. Your pain is valid. Your anger is justified. But don't let it become your home. Don't spend your life trying to prove your worth to people who have already decided not to see it. Take that pain, take that anger, and use it as fuel. Build your own dream, brick by stubborn brick. Live your life with such authenticity, such joy, such unwavering purpose that your happiness becomes the quiet, unanswerable verdict on their cruelty. The highest wall you can build is a life lived well. The most devastating revenge is a peace they cannot touch. In the end, they didn't destroy my wedding. They were the catalyst for creating something far more beautiful than I ever imagined. They wanted me to have a modest day. Instead, I had a legendary one, not because of the budget, but because of the heart. So build your fortress, light your candles, and remember, sometimes the most powerful stand you can take is not to fight back, but to turn, walk into your own sunlit forest, and build a cathedral of your own.